Hello YouTube, what's going on? Helen the Russian here. So, everybody's favorite time of the year just started 2 days ago. Guess what it is? Yeah, it's tax season. No one likes it, but we all have to do this, and I'm gonna preface the following, by saying that this video is not sponsored. I mean, you can see I hardly have any subscribers, no one sponsors me, no one paid me to say whatever I'm gonna say, no one gave me anything for free to say what I'm gonna say, so this is just advice and my personal opinion, which is most definitely is not a gospel truth. So you do what you find is best for you, but that's how I approach the whole thing. So clearly this was my first year, well, half a year driving for rideshare, but it's definitely not my first year owning a business. And as a business owner, my advice is definitely file your taxes, do it on time, don't even wait and do the extension, and by all means hire the accountant. Do it, make sure your accountant, and find a good one. I tell you as we progress why it is important to hire a good one, not just any accountant. I would not really recommend you take it to H&R Block that set up the shop at Walmart. Not to say those people are bad, they not. But they mostly familiar with your basic tax return for people who are employed, like, people who work regular jobs and they're not really sure how to do taxes. They bring standard W-2 to them, they don't really have any investments and whatnot, and those people are really good for that. So that's definitely the way to go. If you own your own business though, go and spend the money with the reputable, well-known accountant, preferably recommended by someone you know really well, and someone who's done their taxes with that accountant for at least few years, and they know everything is hunky-dory. And also pay attention to the fact whether or not accountant actually signs the tax return and promises you that if you get audited, in the event of an audit, they will go with you to represent you. Very important. So, now, talking about Uber and Lyft tax return, obviously I have my main business, so my taxes, they're not overly complicated, but like I said, I prefer to pay the money. I've known my accountant for nearly 20 years now. Andrea is her name, she's fantastic. She is one of those people. She signs the tax return, she guarantees, now mind, they guarantee based on what you told them. I mean, she cannot dig into your head and figure out if you're telling her the truth. So and she makes you sign a disclaimer to that effect. So provided you told her the truth, meaning you supplied everything and you told her about all the income and everything, she'll prepare the tax return for you, and in the case of an audit, she'll go with you and represent you and stand behind all the deductions. And she'll, as you sit in there in front of her, she'll also give you advice as to what she thinks is the best way to go. So, first thing I found out straight away using Andrea, I went to her today, I finally got my 1099 from Uber yesterday. Lyft gave it nearly 2 weeks ago. Uber waited till the last legal day, but that's fine. Come to find out, Uber is a bit better as far as presenting us with the proper numbers, because the way Uber did it, they gave, their form looks slightly, it's not your standard 1099, but it does represent the information needed, so that's all the accountant needed. So they gave gross income, and then they showed the number for all the deductions like fees and whatnot taken out. So accountant could take appropriate number, which is your actual income. Lyft, however, gave a standard looking 1099 form, and I opted for everything online. And I was wondering, because Lyft, all they put in there is the gross income. And I'm like, okay, I guess, they already figured it all out. Well, my accountant repeatedly, she goes, look, did they give you anything else? Because this is gross income. What about the fees? What about those fees that like Uber was taking? Doesn't Lyft take those? And I know they do. So I can say perseverance. She goes, hey, open up your app. Let's have a look. So I went into my app, and you know how you go in your driver's dashboard, and then you go on right here on this menu into tax documents, and here you see the form that we all downloaded. Well, if you scroll down to here, you see this information, total payments, and again, they did it a bit, I don't think it's really quite the way they should have done it. See, you need to click on this, and I tell you why, because oopsie daisy, they show the number. This, hang on, what is it? Right here, that's the number that needs to be deducted, because the 1099 only showed that number and nothing else. Gross income, well, you need to subtract that number from that. So that's very important, because in my case it was the whole $663.25 less of income. So it's not pennies, and I'm only driving part-time, and oftentimes very part-time, like hardly any, some weeks more than others, but you know how it is. For those of you guys who drive full-time, definitely look this up. Important number, you need to tell you need to show it to your accountant, you need to tell your accountant what it is. It's important. So, more to the point, also we discussed, I don't know if some of you are tempted to write things off as a home office. Again, strictly personal opinion, you know, you do what you feel best. Personally, I never like to write off home office because it's tricky. Usually it's very much a red flag for an audit, for IRS, but also, like, objectively speaking, it would have to be absolutely completely separate room in your house that you use only to conduct whatever business associated with your business which makes money. Like, so you only go there to write invoices, to type the propositions, to do the inventory or whatnot. At no time you could be sitting there watching TV or even play with your child, because then it takes away, it becomes tricky, and we all know that's not realistic. There could be very, very few people have actually a room like that they keep under lock and key and only go there when they need to specifically do business and leave immediately after they're done with business. Yeah? So home office, in my opinion, nah, it's not worth it basically. Yeah, it'll give you some deductions, but in all actuality, it's not worth it. So that's that. And now back to the story, why I said reputable account is important. At one point, that was before I left for New Zealand, a friend of mine, she said her mother is an accountant and she does taxes, and everybody just raving about her because she saved everybody so much money. And my friend said she was a good friend. She said, you know, she's done hours, she was married hours, and it's just fantastic. And so I got tempted, and she wasn't charging that much for her services. So I'm like, okay. I was tempted like everybody else. See, that's my point. Like, I'm old now to know, don't be greedy. The minute you get greedy, it's gonna bite you on the behind. So I went, I did not go to Andrea that year, and I went and did my taxes with this person, Nina. Well, guess, and she wrote everything off, and that was the year when I was selling real estate and I owned a property management company, and I made a lot of money that year, quite a lot. So Nina, and I gotta be honest with you, I was cautious. I was like, Nina, no, I don't think we should be. She goes, no, trust me, you need to write this off. Why would you leave this money on the table? Do this, do that. Okay, so yeah, she did my taxes, and obviously it was tax time, and then I went to New Zealand. Well, nearly a year later, I get forwarded from someone who was renting my house, and it's the letter from IRS. They estimated that I underpaid the taxes and they want an audit. Well, guess what my conundrum was? I couldn't, in all honesty, fly from New Zealand to here to do an audit. I mean, that alone would cost me, that trip would have cost me like $6,000-7,000. You know, flights back and forth, which are not cheap, staying in here, you know, that would not work out at all. And so, rookie mistake, my ex-husband then attempted to negotiate with IRS for the lump sum lower payment. You know how they always tell you, all these companies, that, oh, but you offer them, you know, this lower amount, but all in one sum. Guess what it happened? Originally, they estimated that I owe them about 12,000. After much conversation with my ex-husband on the phone, and they made it, they make themselves sound very friendly. They make themselves sound like they genuinely trying to help. So he was telling me, oh, I really established rapport with this woman. I think we're gonna get a good deal. Guess what? They hit me with 33,000. They text me to the max. Yep. And that was because, and I tell you why. Because he was stupid enough to tell her that we're in New Zealand, we're unable to travel for an audit, and we don't really have any documents because they got lost in the move. So while she was talking to him all nice and friendly and sympathetically, she's like, okay, they're not coming for an audit, they don't have any receipts. Boom. Full tax amount. Yeah, and I had to pay it. There is no way around it. So that was lesson learned. Don't be like me. Learn from others' mistakes. If you think, like Andrea today, she charged me $375, right? And she charges based on the actual degree of difficulty of each individual tax return. So it varies. It could be a little less, it could be a bit more, but it's, in my opinion, very reasonable amount of money. She looked through everything. She gave me what I would pay. She estimated straight away, but she goes, look, obviously she doesn't finalize right then. She just goes through the whole thing, make sure that she has everything. If she needs anything additionally, she'll tell you and you'll need to send it to her later. In my case, that wasn't the case, but she says, let me double and triple check everything tonight, and I will have it ready for you either tomorrow or on Monday for sure, and then I can take it and pay IRS and be done. All right, so that's my lecture for the day. I usually don't like to lecture people, but I think, like I said, learn from other people's experience. That tax thing was a really bad experience. I would never not pay taxes. Like that, I never done. I paid always and always. Even when you live overseas, like when I lived in New Zealand, you have to file as US citizen living abroad. There's a form for that. And so every year I filed that as well. And yeah, spend the money. I know many of you would say, oh, I know so-and-so, he or she hasn't paid their taxes for 6 years and it's all hunky-dory. Well, guess what? I know people like that as well. Yep, I know at least 2 people who one of them hasn't paid any taxes at all. He just didn't file for 5 years and another one for 6. But ultimately, trust me, it's gonna come and bite you in the ass, and it's gonna cost you a whole lot more, because quite frankly, like this year or for the year past, yeah, you might be financially better off or worse off, but it's not going to be that huge of amount. Like figure out, if you're driving, just drive a little more and figure out how just to pay it and be done. Versus 6 years from now, they're going to penalty. There are penalty for not filing. There is that penalty. And all those taxes that you owe, it's all going to pile up. And at the end of the day, it's not going to be any better. And by then, how do you know what financial situation you'll be 5 or 6 years from now? You may be dead broke. IRS doesn't care about that, by the way. They're gonna take everything from you. And I mean everything. They come after you hard. So, yep, that's my advice. I'll put my accountant's name is Andrea Olson. And like I said, she's very reputable. Been doing this in Las Vegas for nearly 20 years. Give her a call if you want, but obviously use whomever you know, ask your friends, ask your relatives, ask your business associates, go to reputable tax preparer. All right, I'm gonna leave you with that thought, and be organized and write everything down. Don't go to accountant with a whole bunch of receipts. That's another thing, sorry, before I go. You need to total everything up, kind of itemize things. You know what the deductions are, itemize everything, have all the numbers ready. Separate your business miles, your personal miles. So your accountant would ask for total miles on the car and how many business miles were there. They'll ask for how much you spend on gas. Gas is definitely deductible. They ask you how much you spend on maintenance, like oil change, whatever repairs, because that's all deductible for the rideshare drivers. And I have a few other deductions for my business, but also for the car. Like I had to buy a lumbar back support I talked about in previous videos. I had to buy PVC seat covers and the rubber floor mats. Those are tax deductible because I had to put them in my car because I was doing rideshare. I would not have them otherwise. So do all that, be organized, start working on it today. Don't wait till April 15th. It'll be too late by then. Accountants will be busy. Have a nice day, everybody.